Hi book fanatics, welcome to Books and Biographies 101. My name is Mr. Mahai aka The Bookworm, and if you're new to this channel, make sure to subscribe to this channel right now in order to get good food for thought. And don't forget to like this video guys for the YouTube algorithm, because the more you like my videos is the more YouTube recommends the video to other people. So do that guys. And today's in-depth review is on a book called Getting Things Done by David Allen. This book is focusing on self-management, and it's a research that David Allen did over 20 years as he was working as a consultant. So in this book, David Allen shares his experience of 20 years with the clients that he worked with, and also the methods that he found to be effective in keeping the mind free. So the main purpose of this book is to keep the mind free, to avoid the distractions that you have. Like for example, you might not clean your room in the morning before you go to your work. But when you're busy with your things at the work, the thought of not cleaning the room keeps coming up, that you have to clean your room, you have to clean your room. So you have to avoid those kind of distractions in order to focus and do your work more effectively. So David Allen in this book, it's showing the strategies on how to avoid those kind of things, like keep your mind free of those kind of things. So in order for you to avoid those kind of things, you have to practice keeping everything on documentation. It's either you write it on your PC or your laptop, or you write it on the paper or something. Just keep it out of your mind on something. And in this book, David Allen will be sharing the 5 strategies on how to develop a mind that is free from everything, or a mind that martial arts people, they call it a mind like water, or what other people refer to as being in the zone. In order for you to be in the zone, you must be free from everything. Like your mind is focused on whatever you're doing at that point in time, not having other distractions from outside. So in this book, David shared the 5 stages on how to avoid mismanagement, or to deal with mismanagement once and for all. Starting with the first stage, which is collection. You have to collect everything. Let's say maybe you're working at an office, or maybe you're working from home, you are having your own workstation at home. Start by collecting everything that is around your workstation into the collection bin. Collect everything except maybe your equipment and those that you feel like they are more important in your work. But everything should go into the collection bin. And at this stage, it includes also the brainstorming. So put a paper in front of you, write everything that you are thinking of doing, and every new idea that you feel like you have, put it on a paper and put that paper into the collection bin. The next stage is processing. Now that you have put everything in the collection bin, now it's time to sort out everything into their level of importance. Some of the things you have, they are not that important, and you'd feel like, I have to put it in the trash bin. Let's say for example, you have this book, and maybe you were using this book before. Now you are no longer feeling the use of this book. Put it in the trash bin, or maybe donate it to people who are going to be using the book. So basically, on this stage of processing, you're putting everything into categories. There are some things that you have to categorize them into the trash bin, so you just throw them into the trash bin. Some you have to categorize them into the incubation. So the incubation ones are something that you feel like, okay, this thing, I might use it in the near future. I may or may not use it in the near future. Maybe let's say you have a brochure here, it's advertising a certain course that you feel like you might do in the future. Or maybe you have this invitation of an event that you feel like you might attend or might not attend in the future. Put it in the incubation category. And then there are some things that you feel like, I have to do nothing on this thing, but I can use it as a reference for my project maybe in the future. put it on the reference. It might be books that you might feel like you're going to use in the future or something. Put it on the reference category. So there are other things that you feel like you have to do. They're like action things. They require your action. So there are things like emails, your plans, maybe things you have to be doing, maybe your daily duties that you have to do to run the errands and other stuff. Put it on the action category. So in your action category, you must divide your things to the one that requires less than 2 minutes and then the one that requires more than 2 minutes. So if it's something that requires less than 2 minutes of your time, like for example, let's say you have an email that you just have to give a short reply on it, and it requires less than 2 minutes to do that. So just do that within that less than 2 minutes and you are done with it. But if it's something that requires more than 2 minutes of your time, you can either delegate it to somebody who you feel like they are more appropriate to do it. Let's say maybe you're a manager. You can delegate to another person who you feel like the person is appropriate to do that job. Or maybe if you are doing your own thing yourself, you can always defer it to some other time so that you can do it yourself. And on that category, make sure to put everything on somewhere that you feel like you'll be reminded of doing it. You can either put it on your Microsoft Outlook calendar or maybe Microsoft Team calendars so that you get reminded on doing it, or maybe you can work on your calendar on your phone to make reminders on how to do those things at that point in time. Sometimes maybe you have a call that you have to do on Friday at 12 p.m. So make sure you put it on the calendar so that you don't miss that time to make that call. That's how you categorize your things. The third stage is organizing. Now that you have everything in categories, you can organize them into specific cabinets. Let's say maybe if you have an office, you can put your references in the specific cabinet, your incubation in the specific cabinet, and also your action things in a place whereby you can go to them on daily basis. So the advice is that put everything in your narrative, because let's say for example maybe you have this other reference document you have to get, but it's in the file cabinet, and if you stand up, go to the cabinet and get it, and maybe try to get it, maybe you have a lot of references, maybe try to get it, it might distract you. When you come back, you're no longer in the zone of doing that thing. So to avoid that, make sure you have everything in your narrative and don't have a lot of documents, because a lot of documents can actually take your time and start distracting you. Maybe you want to find another document of which you don't know where it is, and you have a lot of documents around you. It can actually distract you a lot. And let's say maybe you are somebody who likes to work remotely, maybe with your laptop and something. You can actually create folders for everything that you want to do. Let's say maybe it's for your incubation things. You can create a folder that it's maybe or someday for things that you feel like you might or might not do. And you can create a folder called references for things that you feel like you're going to use them as references and everything. And you can also create folders for action, for things that you must do. So every time you visit that folder, it's for things you feel like you must do. And you can also create a folder for waiting for things. Because if, let's say for example, maybe you're waiting for something in order to do the other thing, or maybe you have sent an email to somebody of which you're waiting for the reply in order to move on with something, you can put them on a specific folder of waiting for, so that your things are organized. When you're going to waiting for, if let's say maybe you have sent an email maybe 2 days ago and you feel like you might have had a reply by this day, And when you go back to your folder and feel like, no, I didn't have a reply for this thing, you can actually do a follow-up email in order to get that reply. But if everything is messed up, you don't know where to find that email that you sent, you don't know where to find this and this, you feel like, no, I shouldn't be spending this time trying to search for these things. So basically what you do is to organize your stuff in order to manage your stuff more effectively. The fourth stage is the review. So this stage requires your consistency in doing it effectively in order to get effective results. So you must at least maybe review your stuff after every week, or maybe on every Friday. Let's say maybe you're working at an office, make sure you review your stuff every Friday before you go for your weekend, so that you're up to date with everything. Because sometimes maybe you have this other thing you have planned to do on this specific date, but when you go back to that thing, you feel like, no, this thing is no longer important for me to do. Or maybe you feel like, maybe I should modify this thing to at least do this instead of this, of which is important. When you keep your stuff up to date, you don't have to stress yourself, because sometimes you might schedule to do this thing on this specific date, but if you don't review your stuff, when that date comes, when you find that reminder that you have to do this thing, you feel like, no, I'm lacking this thing, I have to start from the scratch to maybe modify this thing before you can actually do the plan, of which will delay your work. So basically, if you keep consistency in reviewing your stuff, you get to be more relaxed and knowing what to do and what next to do, of which it keeps you more informed and also up to date with everything you're doing. The fifth and the last stage is do. So this is the implementation stage, where you implement everything you have planned, everything that comes up, everything that you feel like you have to do. So this stage actually comes up with 3 phases, or maybe 3 steps. There are some points whereby you have to do things as they come up. There are some things that they require your instant action. So maybe you have this other email from your boss, or maybe from this other person that you have to reply instantly. Maybe you have a call from maybe your partner saying maybe your kid is in the hospital. You have to go to the hospital instantly. There are some actions that you don't have to avoid. You know you have to do it. And the second one is that you have to do things as planned. Some of the things you do them as planned, like your projects, your work, and everything that you put on the action category. You know, you set the reminders for them that you'll do on this specific day, or maybe on this specific time. And as the reminders tell you, you must do the work, do the work. And the third step is that the action plan also involves planning your work. So on this one is that part of your action is planning your work. You can use your time to plan your work, of which it makes everything much more simpler. So planning your work is not a waste of time. It's actually an action plan. Because if now you know what to do, at what point to, at what time to do, or at what day to do, you get more relaxed on your stuff, and in most cases you tend to have a lot of time and you don't stress yourself. Because when you tend to think of other things to do, maybe there are some people who feel like they can keep everything in their mind, and you might tell people that you'll attend their meetings, or maybe some people saying that you should join their organization, some people saying that you should come watch a soccer game, some people saying that, and you're saying all those things, you're going to sort them out on Friday. And when Friday comes, you have a lot of things that you have to do, and you don't have time to do all of those things, and you end up disappointing people because you didn't plan your work. So actually you have to have an action plan that is well planned, so that if somebody is inviting you for something, on that specific time that you'll be busy with the other thing, tell that person that I'm sorry, I'll not be able to do that, because you have something that you're following. And the other thing is that you have to know what you categorize as agent, because for that category or that step of doing things as they come up, sometimes you might be doing things that are not actually agent to do at that specific time point, because maybe somebody might text you on your WhatsApp and you start replying for that message and start chatting with that person instead of doing something that is much more important. So you must actually know your definition of agent. Do things that are really agent and requires your action agently at that specific point in time. In addition to the 5 stages, always ask yourself this question: what's the next action? Because this question is very important in making you different from other people. It gives you a sense of clarity in your actions. It also empowers you as a person. It brings a sense of accountability into your life, and also improves or enhances your productivity in everything that you're doing. Because you set yourself as different from other people. You ask yourself the question before actually completing everything. You know that when you're doing this, after this, you're going to do this. Unlike other people who do this, and when they are done, they'll be like, okay, what should I do next? And they haven't arranged anything that has to be done next. So they have to stop if it's something that you have to order in order to come before you go on. So they have to order and wait on that period when they are doing nothing before they can actually do it after the delivery. So if you ask yourself what's the next question more frequently, it makes you different from other people. So the overall philosophy of this book is that keeping your mind clear is the solution of lack of productivity and also focus. And if you like this video, please hit that like button. Comment down below if you have questions or maybe what you have learned from this book. And also share the book with friends and family in order for them to also share the experience of good food for thought. And if you're not yet subscribed, please subscribe now, and don't forget to press that post notification bell so that you get informed whenever I post a new video. So also find the link for a PDF version of this book in the description box below. And other than that, I'll see you in the next video coming soon. Peace out.